Hello. Hi, 8th graders. I know, you guys miss me so much. It's been all of 4 days, and now you guys are sad that you haven't seen me, and I know it's been terrible, and the feeling has been absolutely mutual. Moving on. Hi. So we're going to do some videos, because you guys remember how this works, and I almost forgot. The whole purpose of doing these by video is so that it feels like I'm right there in front of you in class. So when you're at home learning, it doesn't feel so different. You get to see me, you get to see the whiteboard, and all the wonderful things that happen when you put me in front of a whiteboard teaching children. Yeah. So, to get started, Esty, stop talking. We're going to begin. So, other than drawing my lunch, because I actually did just eat some Zing burger, go figure, the day I'm teaching an online lesson about a hamburger structure, I actually ate a burger today. How befitting. So my lunch is here on the wall, and I know that a lot of you have already heard the first part of this series. I'm going to review it because a lot of you are also not here. You're either busy doing your soul belly for high school, or you were just being 8th graders and not caring and weren't here. The other half of you who were here in class probably weren't listening anyway. You're too busy looking at the back of your eyelids. That's the way for saying you were sleeping. But that's okay, because this is a YouTube video, and if there's anything that everybody knows how to do, it's watch a video on YouTube. So I figure most of you who would be sleeping is probably awake right now because you had to click a button to watch this. Anyways, I'm actually really impressed by this drawing. This is a really good drawing. So this is a burger, and we're talking about it because, as you can see, we're going to be talking about the hamburger essay structure. Yay! Just by the way, I was watching the old videos yesterday. I was uploading a bunch of videos for the other classes, and Jesus, oh my goodness. If you guys haven't watched those old videos, wow. A, I think I was on cocaine. B, there's a word for this in English. I would call it batshit crazy. I don't know why, but apparently when you're really crazy, it's so crazy that you're batshit crazy. So what does deneverkoki have to do with crazy? I don't know, but that's what I felt like should be said about me when I watched the videos from last year. There's some crazy stuff. I remember trying to explain something and I used hand gestures, and it was more confusing than if I had just not done a video. So I don't know how you guys learned anything last year. After watching these videos, they might be fun, but they totally are confusing. And now I'm going to try to do the same. So hopefully this is not confusing and it is still fun, but we'll see. So what is the whole point of a hamburger essay structure, aside from me drawing lunch? It's just a format. If you look this up online, you're going to find it everywhere. It's the basic way to write an essay. And remember, we talked about this. This is a formal essay. Why did they have to bring burgers into a formal essay? I have no idea. I think somebody was really hungry. They probably talked to me, and I was like, burger. And yeah, so what does formal mean? Formal means formais. I'm done, going on break. So yeah, formal means, it means that it's not gonna be done like I would this video. No, most of the stuff that you guys write for me is not formal, and it's great, it's fun, I like it. But that's not how you do a formal essay. And what do you need these formal essays for? Well, a lot of things. Because when you guys are applying to a college, or if you have to apply for a scholarship, I have to write a formal essay when I was taking a test for the embassy, like to become an ambassador, a diplomat. So it doesn't matter if it's for work, for school, to get money. There's lots of reasons why you might have to write a formal essay, and you need to know the structure. To start off with, there's a few rules that we definitely want to go over before we even talk about the structure. When you write something formal, number one, do not use shorthand. Shorthand is like a quick way of writing. It's how you can take notes very, very fast. So for example, I see this in your writing a lot, which is why I'm putting it on the board. Because. That does not mean because. It does because I put that little thing right there, but when you guys just write cause, that is not cause, that's cause. And a cause is a completely different word than because. Because is what you're trying to say, write it out. I don't ever want to see this in a formal essay, nor this is okay, this is not good. And you better never do this. If you do cuz like that, I am going to slap you, especially if it's a formal essay. No, I don't care what's going on. If you ever write cuz that way, you deserve to get slapped or sprayed. Now, there's a lot of other shorthand things. So for example, we don't do what we call shorthand, which is what I'm explaining right now. So you have words like cause. Shorthand is also words like with, without, because can be done that way sometimes. Like instead of them, you write M. Any shorthand. This is all stuff you don't do in an essay, in a formal paper. You also, there is no cussing or slang. So what does that mean? That means when you write a formal essay, first of all, don't cuss. I know I talked about being batshit crazy. You don't write that in a formal essay. You would just write, I am crazy. You don't say, I am batshit crazy, because that's slang and it's cussing. Now, what is slang? Well, that's going to be words like gonna, wanna, gotta, Davida. Anyways, you gotta, none of that. So, gonna, wanna, gotta, this stuff is fine when you're speaking. You don't do this in a formal essay. Never. Also, there's no y'all. I say y'all all the time. No, there's no y'all. That's also slang. There's slang. Lastly, and this one, I hate that I have to put this in here, but I'm talking to a bunch of 8th graders. So, there's no text talk. When you're writing a formal essay and you decide that you're going to put are you okay, I'm not okay. If you write this in a formal essay, once again, this goes under the category of getting slapped. You're gonna get slapped. So, are you okay? No, you're not okay. So no text talk, no LOLs, no cuzzes, no see you later. I hate you. I am never going to talk to you if you ever write to me like this. Also, no emojis. Here's my emoji for no emojis. It's a big no sign over the word emoji, because emojis suck. I know that I probably just became the most hated teacher in all of hard art history by saying emojis suck, but I'm going to tell you right now, emojis suck. They are a feeble expression for a feeling that you are not smart enough to put into words. Think of it that way. So instead, use your big boy, big girl words, and let's express ourselves with words, not pictures. Yeah, that's right. There's a unicorn poop, and it's sad, with sparkles. So these are the things that we do not put into a formal essay. If you write a formal essay, absolutely no shorthand, no cussing, no slang, no text talk, and by God, you never put emojis in a formal essay. I don't know how you guys thought it was okay to put emojis in your soul belly quesulish. It's like you're gonna give your soul belly and you were like, hey, this makes me really sad. And then you're gonna hold up a picture of a sad face? Like what? Do you sit there and go, is that how you do this in a soul belly? I mean, seriously, what's the point of putting an emoji in your soul belly quesulish? Huh? Whatever, I'm gonna stop ranting now, okay? So, moving on. When we talk about formal essays, you're probably gonna get an essay question. It's gonna be some kind of question that you have to create a persuasive essay. A persuasive essay is meggyőzhet, vagy there's another word, something, yeah, write it in the comments. I have no idea what the word is in Hungarian. Beszélés, as something, whatever. Hajrá. So, an essay, yeah, so whenever you guys do a formal essay, it's probably going to be some kind of persuasive essay. That means that it's going to try to, or you are going to try to convince people that you're right. This is important to understand. When you do a formal essay where you're convincing someone of something, you are the expert. I'm going to write this down for you. And notice I'm using big letters here. This is important. You are the expert. I say this because the number one mistake that people will do in a formal essay is they are not sure of their points of view. They're not sure of what they're talking about. And again, this is a formal essay. It's hivatalos. And even though you're a 14-year-old 8th grader who probably doesn't know anything except unicorn poop emojis, when you're writing this kind of essay, you need to sound like a 45-year-old doctorate professor at a university. I know this is a big stretch, but this is why I'm here giving this video, so that you can learn how to make that gap smaller. So the first step is you have to accept, you have to agree that you are the expert. You know what you're talking about. I know. What? Who knows? This is crazy. You know what you're talking about, right? Okay, so yeah, you have to convince everyone that you know what you're talking about. How do you do this? First of all, you do not ever say words like, I think. Never. Never in a formal essay. Do not say words like, I believe. In my opinion. I'm trying to think of other ones. I think, I believe, in my opinion. You know, these kinds of things. I just remembered something. When you're talking in a formal thing, one of the slang words that you teenagers tend to use all the time is like. 9 times out of 10, you're using like the wrong way. Like, it's not right. So like, you need to cut it out because like it's in there all the time and like it's annoying. Like, you need to stop. So do not use like. If you want to be safe and you're not sure whether or not it's the one time that you're supposed to use the word like, just don't use it. Just take out the word like. Unless you're saying something like, I like big butts, and I cannot lie. Anyways, sorry, wrong, no. Okay, I believe, in my opinion, these are words that are expressing that you are not sure. It is my belief, I think, it's most of these, and anything like this. These things are bad, so no, absolutely not. I can't write anymore, this pen stopped working. Not much better. Can you even see that? Maybe. Anyways, so the point is, when you are doing a formal essay, the best thing to do is to not even use the word I. And I know this sounds difficult, but the word I is bad in a formal essay because you are the professional, you are the person that we are talking to who has all the answers. So it's weird. I'll show you how to do this without using the word I, but basically you want to almost use a third person. Why is the video freezing? Anyways, so you almost want to use the third person structure because that is the best way, and we'll get to it later. So in the meantime, just remember, never, ever, ever use these words. I think, I believe, in my opinion. Now, since you're the expert, usually the essay is going to ask you some kind of very important question. I know we talked about some of these before in class. I like these types of topics because I think they're really good for debate and discussion. Things like, are people around the world fundamentally the same? If you believe or don't believe. See, and even in the question, it's asking, do you believe this or not? And then you want to answer with, I believe that no. Trap. Wrong. Do not do that. So you have to find another way to answer this. And you cannot sit there and say, I believe that, blah. No, because you're the expert. And you're convincing people that your way of thinking is the way of thinking. So instead, you might have to say something like, people are fundamentally the same everywhere. Or people are different. There is no way to change this. So you can't sit there and talk about your beliefs. I think, I believe, in my opinion, people are the same. No, they are the same. They are not the same. You choose, and you then fight for that. So this is an example of one of the types of topics. Like it might be something big, or it might say something like, government has no right to tell you what to do with your body. That's another example of an essay topic. Yeah, you're going to have lots of stuff. I remember getting an essay topic about defense spending. So this was the one that I had in one of my tests when I was going to be an embassy, like a diplomat. And they asked, like, should governments be spending this much, X, I think it was like 50% of their national GDP on defense in a world where there is no more like Cold War, like there's no more major superpowers that we have to worry about. So it was a very difficult topic, and the whole idea is that it's trying to get me to admit to one opinion or the other. But this is what your essay structure, or what your essay topic is going to be. It's something really, really advanced and very adult. And if you weren't already teenagers, or if you were like some 6th graders or 5th graders, you'd be like, no. So naturally, we have to wait until 8th grade to teach this to you because you don't even have the brain power for it once you're like still a 6th grader. Sorry, 6th graders, whoever's watching this. Anyways, so how do we structure it? When you want to develop an essay, a formal essay, we use this hamburger structure. Not only is it my lunch, but we have all the different pieces. You have your top bun. This is your sauce with cheese, right? You gotta have cheese and sauce. Of course, that's the vegetables, right? Pickles, onions, tomatoes, all that good stuff, lettuce. There's the meat. The best part. See, it's even dripping. It's juicy meat. You can't have a burger without the meat. And then, of course, the bottom bun. That's the grill marks, because if it's a good burger, they grilled the buns, the top and the bottom. Oh, yeah, you put some butter on there, you grill it. If you haven't eaten yet, I'm guessing there's a burger in your future. So, this is a hamburger. Now, what are all of these parts? We talked about the first part already. Well, in the other classes, you guys who are not there for those classes, now you're going to find out. The first part is called the introduction. So what needs to be in an introduction? Well, good question. First off, the introduction is going to point out where you stand. Usually with any kind of essay, the topic is going to ask you an opinion on one side or the other. So like I was talking about with the whole people are the same. Do you agree? Disagree? Does the government have the right to say what you should do with your body? Do you say yes, they should because it's for our own good, or no, our body is our own and F you? Trying to think of a very easy topic. Let's do the online school. Hey, since we're all learning online right now. Let's say that's the topic. Is online education good or bad? Is it effective is probably what they would ask. So, do you think online education is effective? You're either going to say yes or no. So, what should you start with? That. The very first thing you need to do, come on, aside from working internet, my iPad's not working, is that you need to state your thesis, your opinion. So the very, very first thing I don't like the word opinion because remember how I said that you don't want to say in my opinion? This is why I think it's better to call this a thesis. Thesis in English means it's your opinion. It's your idea. And so when you have an idea, a strong idea, a lot of times like a scientist or somebody, if you think about university level, your thesis is like a theory. It's like, I think this is true. It's not yet proven, but this is your idea. And then you're trying to find the proof for this idea. You're trying to argue that this is true or not. And that's why we call this a thesis, because it's your opinion, but you think it's true. So it's stronger than an opinion because it's not just, I feel this way, meh. No, it's like, I believe this is true, and I'm giving you reasons why this is true. And you are all gonna agree with me after you hear this. And everybody's going to be like, yes, and then they turn it into a law. I don't know, whatever. My point is, this is why I call it a thesis. I don't like calling it an opinion. So the first thing you do, the very first thing you got to do in a formal essay is start with where you stand. What is your opinion? After that, you preview your arguments. What is an argument? Well, your argument is not like, I told you this, no, I told you that, like that's vita, yeah, I know, that's argument. But we're not kids here, we're adults. So in this case, arguments are like your reasons why you believe this and why you are right. So you need to preview your arguments. Think of it like going to the movies. I know it's been a year since you guys have been to any kind of movie, but remember, before the movie started, you sit down in the chair and there'd be those previews, and you'd, have that guy with a deep voice who'd be like, in a world where everyone speaks German. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. So this is like the previews, right? You go there and you watch them talking about a movie, and anytime you watch these previews, I'm sorry, but you want to watch the movie. They do them so well that like I could be watching a preview of the next Trolls movie that's made for 2-year-olds, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, I want to see that. That looks really good. Because that's how they do it. I don't know what they do, but they just make these previews really good. Kind of what you want to do here, just not so good. So you start with your opinion or your thesis, and then you're going to preview the arguments. There's usually 3 of them. This is what goes into the introduction. Here. So, if we know that this is your introduction, what do you think is the bottom bun? There, that's the bottom bun. What do you think goes in the bottom bun? Well, as I forget who said it, somebody said this in one of the classes, the outroduction. No. Oh, I'm not laughing at you. I'm I'm laughing at you. All right, it's not an introduction. It's called. Oh, whoever it was, I love you. You're the best. You make teaching so much fun. It's called a conclusion. Okay. So the bottom bun is the conclusion. Now, you got to give it to these people. When it comes to formal things, think about like the most important buildings you know. Parliament, the White House, England's Parliament building, right? What other important buildings are there? I don't know. The Capitol building in the US. So you think about these buildings, right? And all of these buildings, they all have something called symmetry. I think in Hungarian it's called symmetrio. Symmetry means that it's the same. You stick a mirror and it would look the same this side and that side, right? And guess what? Here it is again. Anytime you do something important, there's usually some kind of symmetry. So you start and end with pretty much the same thing. So what do you think you have to do in the conclusion? Well, if you guessed, state your opinion, your thesis, you're right. Good job, yay! You don't get sprayed. So, I'm going to say it in a different way. I'm going to say that you generalize. Oh, hello. Your thesis, your main point. Right? You're going to generalize your thesis or your main point. And then briefly restate. Briefly, you all know what that means? Rövidesen, gyorsan. Restate the three arguments. So, you basically do the same thing you just did at the introduction, except you're doing it again at the conclusion. So if I was saying online learning was the worst, I'm not going to say I believe, I think, in my opinion. I say online learning was the worst because, there, now you can see my hand. Because, I don't know, I'm trying to think of why. Why would online learning be the worst? Because you can't see your friends. The lessons online suck, and I have to watch Mr. B's videos. So these are the three reasons why online learning sucks. Good, right? So then if these are my 3 points, here's what I just did. Introduction. Online learning sucks because I can't see my friends. Online lessons are the worst, and I have to watch Mr. B. At the end, in the conclusion, I'm going to say, hey, online learning is terrible because you have to watch videos, Mr. B sucks, and I can't see my friends. So notice how I did the same thing? Yeah, it's not in the same order. You can do it in the same order. It doesn't have to be. But the point is, I'm restating it. Also, you want to go a little step further because the conclusion is the end. So since we have them really paying attention and whoever was listening to us up until now has woken up because they're like, oh, they're finishing. Yay, I can wake up now and pay attention. So here's where you got to add the real, like the home run. This is that final, knockout punch. So not only are you going to talk about your whole point, your thesis, you're not only going to once again go over the 3 arguments, which up until now I guess everybody was falling asleep and not listening to, but you also want to hold on. Generalize your thesis, your main point, and briefly restate the 3 arguments. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm not telling you the wrong thing. So then, at the end, so you generalize your main point, and then you're going to restate exactly what you say at the intro. So you first kind of sum it all up, then the thesis from the intro and here's the big knockout punch and the implications. What it all means. So this is not visible. Can you see that? There we go. Okay. So you need to also add the implications, what it all means. So like not only am I going to generalize my main point, hey, online learning is pretty bad, honestly, because you can't see your friends, you have to do online lessons, which are terrible, and you got to listen to Mr. B. So total, online learning is the worst, and by doing online learning, we're all going to become dumber than our parents and our grandparents. Eventually, monkeys will rule the world. See what it all means. I just gave you the consequences of what's going to happen if we do online learning. At the end, by listening to me and following my advice, we are going to stay away from online learning, or else monkeys will rule the world. See, I'm a professional. I'm saying this is fact. Tame. It is true. There's no joking here. It's not like, it's not I think, I believe. No. Monkeys will rule the world if we do online learning. All right, so moving on. Now, what's this middle stuff? All of you guys who have already been to my classes last week, you learned these two things. What's the middle? Well, the middle are the three arguments. There we go. There's the conclusion. So, if you have three arguments, argument 2, argument 3. Now then, okay, here's how to think about these arguments. Remember, these are the supporting arguments. These are the ones where you're like trying to validate, to prove that you are right, that what you're thinking is true. So, this is the typical way to do it. You can do this with 2 arguments. You don't need to have 3. And it's like a burger. If I really wanted to, I don't have to have vegetables in my burger. One of my friends eats his burgers this way. Ever since, I don't know, it's been at least 30 years of eating burgers. And I remember he's always eaten his burger this way. It was nothing but cheese, cheese, cheese. Literally, he puts like 5 types of cheese on his burger. Meat, bread, and to kick things off, he adds jalapenos. I swear to God, this is how he eats his burger. It's disgusting. I love cheese. I have no problem with the cheese, but it's the jalapenos that really kill me. But whatever. So you don't need to have vegetables. You could have a cheese, 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 cheese jalapeno burger. In that case, he would have 2 arguments. Okay? And that's fine. If they're 2 really good arguments, that's okay. Most people, however, choose to have 3 arguments, and that's the best. You can have 4 arguments. Notice there's no bacon on this burger. Maybe that's argument number 4, because bacon makes everything better. I had a double bacon burger today. Shame on me for not adding bacon. Whatever. Point is, how can these arguments be structured? Well, there's a reason it's using a burger metaphor. Which of these 3 is the most important argument? Is it number 1, 2, or 3? Hands down. Go. All right. Let's hear it. Max? Really, Max? Ah, Max, seriously. Sometimes I worry. And by sometimes, I mean all the time. Okay, so anyways, thank you, Boogie, for the correct answer. It's the meat. The meat is the most important. It took a vegetarian to tell us the meat was the most important. Do you feel better about yourself, Max? I hope so. Anyways, so of course, the meat is the most important part. You can't have a burger without the meat. Despite what all the vegans and vegetarians are trying to say, they don't know. And they're wrong. So, the most important argument here is the meat. So if I'm talking about how online learning sucks, yeah, not seeing your friends is a pretty big argument, but it's not the biggest one, right? The online learning is bad. That's a really strong argument, honestly, and that might be my meat argument. But if I really want to get to the seriousness of it, I think the most important and the strongest argument here is that you have to watch videos by me. Because, come on, nothing's more important than myself, which is why I'm going to make myself the meat. But seriously, if you're really doing this, like, I'm joking, of course, with all this stuff, but when you really are doing a real essay, your most important argument, the one that makes everybody convinced that you are deserving of a doctor title, is going to be this argument. And that's the one you save for last. Everybody got that? So argument number 3 is the most important. Point. So, you always want to make that the most important point. The other 2 are not so important. Now, how many sentences should these be? Your introduction usually is like 2 to 3 sentences long. It's not very long. Conclusion, that 4, 5, 6 sentences. Depends on how long you write. If you write a lot of run-on sentences, your arguments are going to be about 3 to 5, even longer if you need to. It could be 7 sentences. These are, come on, this is the burger right here. This is the most important part. So, do you really want to get hung up on how many sentences it is? No. But the point is, it should be enough. Statistics are always helpful. If you know any statistics, you definitely want to add them in. Don't add statistics just because, and you better not be lying. This is one of those things where if you understand statistics, you better be sure that they're right. If they're not right, you will come across sounding like an idiot. So, argument 1, argument 2. Okay, so these are just, supporting arguments. That's all they are. This one is like, this is it's a supporting argument. I'm not going to write it out. You guys know what this is. So argument 1, argument 2, and then your most important point. Do you want to go to like college level? Because this is like high school level, what I'm showing you right now. If you want to be super fancy, we're going to go to college level now. So the really advanced thinkers, the people who really want to show off, they're going to save argument 2 for something. When we do this, there's usually going to be a counter argument. So if we were actually going to do a debate where people are fighting about their ideas, well, then there's going to be people saying that, well, if you believe this, then this must be true, and they'll try to make you sound wrong. College level people account for that. They think about this and they add that counter argument in here. So like, for example, online learning sucks because you can't see your friends. And I'm going to get rid of the Mr. B argument, but let's say the most important one here is that the online learning tools are terrible and they make our life harder. Counter argument 2 might be something like, well, a lot of people like online learning because it allows you to be on your own free time, right? You can control when to wake up, you can control when to do your homework, you can control when you want to learn. You now are in control of your life. You have so much freedom. Well, notice how this is now an argument for online learning, which is not what you're trying to argue. So you then say something smart like, now I realize, or excuse me, we don't use the word I. Now, many people would argue, would say that online learning is good because you can do everything at your own schedule. However, However, by not having a fixed schedule, studies have shown, now I'm using statistics, studies have shown that people are a lot less productive and are unable to make their own schedules work as well as if they have a routine. So I'm taking what somebody would say is an argument for their opposite opinion, and I'm proving it wrong. See, that's college level. So you have your argument, you have your number one argument, but you even take the other side's argument and you squish it. That isn't a 5. That's like praise. Holla, you're doing great. Now, I say this and I warn you, all of you 8th graders, because I know what's going to happen. You're going to be like, I'm going to do what Mr. B says. I'm going to be awesome. And there's a trap. What is the trap? Here it is. Here's the trap. And here's a nice piece of cheese for the mouse trap. I just wasted all that time so I could draw a mouse trap. It's a trap! So what's this cheese right here? It's getting you to not take a side. This is what everybody's trying to, or this is what they're trying to get you to do so that you can fail. Because if you can't take a side, if you're like, well, online learning is bad and good, you failed. You didn't do what the essay is about. This isn't a persuasive essay if you can't even persuade yourself. How good are you at persuading everyone if you're like, meh, it's good and it's bad. I guess there's both sides. I can see them both. No, you can't, because you're better than that. So what is the trap? Is not taking a side. So by not taking a side, you're going to fail. I'm telling you right now, if you sit there and say something like, well, online learning is both good and bad. Here's reasons why. I'm going to say 1, 1, and 1. There's 3 reasons. You just failed. You cannot sit on the fence. You must take a side. I don't care if you feel both ways, but you have to take a side. In one of the essays, that one that I was talking about with the Defense Department, whatever, like defense spending, there was a reason I did not choose that essay on that test. And it's because I started drawing out my arguments. I created my structure. And I started listing, and I wrote all the stuff that I wanted for each of them. And guess what? I sat there and I was like, argument 1, defense spending should be bigger. Argument 2, defense spending should be cut back. And I looked at that and I said, crap, I don't have an opinion. Moving on to the next topic. And I did, because I couldn't take one side. I was sitting on the fence, and I agreed with both viewpoints. So do not do that. You have to choose one side. So, knowing this, if it's the trap, this is where you have to be very careful when you fight or you do a counter argument, because it's very easy to mess up the wording and to try to sound like you're arguing against a point, but you just don't do it right. And then all of a sudden, you now have online is bad, online is good, online is bad. And you've just gotten a 1. So unless you can word it the right way and say that online is good, but the people who believe this are idiots because of this, which is why it's bad. If you can't do this in English very well, then don't do it. Just keep it simple. But if you are good enough at English and you think you can add a counter argument, then try it out, and it'll elevate your essay to a very high level. But this is how this works. So let me grab a different color. So here we go. What is my introduction? Online learning is bad. Because, and then here, I'm going to list my 1, 2, and 3 points. So that's my introduction. Argument 1, it's bad, you cannot see your friends. I can make it more complex than that. If I wanted to say something like, I can't see my friends and it makes you feel depressed because you're alone all the time. So it's not just that you can't see your friends, it also kind of adds to depression because you're spending 12 hours a day in your room looking at the walls or my face on YouTube. I don't know what's worse. Anyways, so you can't see your friends. See, that's an argument. Argument 2 is that the online learning tools are, and here again, I don't want to use slang or anything and say things like suck or whatever. I would say are difficult to use, are cumbersome, are confusing, etc. So there's my argument 2, and then the most important argument of all is that online learning is terrible because it's so easy to cheat. That skills are not properly assessed. So this is, I think, probably a better argument than saying that you have to watch me do YouTube videos all day long, is that it's so easy to cheat online that it doesn't let the teachers know if the kids have actually learned anything. And I remember seeing this all the time. There was kids, I'm not going to say who, but I remember last year during the quarantine, these kids were a 3. There's no way they were not a 3. Their English level was not at a level that it was a 5. But somehow during the quarantine, their tests were perfect 5s. I wonder if they just are really bad at learning at school. No, it's because their mom and dad took the tests for them. Or their friends, or the internet. But the point is, if I didn't know this kid, I would think that their English was perfect, and I've been like, hey, why don't you go to a competition because your English is so good? No, their English sucks. Their mom and dad's English is perfect. I couldn't tell this unless I was teaching them in person. So this is a good argument. So here's my 3 arguments, and then in the conclusion, I would say once again, online learning is bad because you can't see your friends, the tools are difficult to use, and it's so easy to cheat that we cannot tell if kids are learning. So, by having these problems, monkeys will rule the world. Once again, I just keep coming back to this. I mean, this is the end result. This is my implication. So, does anybody have questions over the Hamburger essay structure? Well, okay, I guess I did a really good job teaching. Nobody has any questions. If you really do have any questions, write them in the comment section. Send me a message also on Microsoft Teams, I guess, or chat or whatever they call it. You are not allowed to get homework. So officially they told us that we're not supposed to be giving tests or homework, which is brilliant because, you know, that's how we effectively teach online, by not giving homework or tests. Tonketelet. I'm trying to think, like tonketelet. That literally translates to ton soba, tonolash. It's the root word for learning, right? So learn ketelet, district. learning district. And they're the ones that decided that we should not be giving tests or homework. So I'm not going to give you any homework. I'm going to give you some room work. This won't... Sorry, it's such a jerk thing to do. Your room work is going to be done in your room. I can see Dave is just sitting back there going. So, see, I miss y'all so much. Can't wait for April. All right, so your room work, yeah, you're going to have to write an essay. I'm going to give you guys a choice of some topics, some really, really good ones. There's going to be 3 essay topics that I'll let you choose from probably. I'm going to send them to you. Let me go ahead and look them up right now. It's easier if I just tell you while we're here on YouTube. Government has the right or no right to determine what we can and cannot do with our bodies. So this is going back to that argument. I think we talked about this once in class. We discussed it. It's a really good topic. High school graduates should take a year off before entering college. Like, this is the argument that every high school kid should take a year off before they go to college. Is that good? Is it bad? People have become overly dependent on technology. Overly dependent is like toolfugve, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so people have become overly dependent on technology. Do you agree or disagree with that? And then, of course, people in all countries are fundamentally the same. To what extent? Do you agree or disagree? So these are the 4 essay topics. I want you to write an essay. It's a formal thing. It's going to be for a big grade. It's like the Solbelli case. This is a big deal. A good example, and I don't have it here. I can look it up in some emails, but I had some really good essays. I remember one of them like 3 years ago. The kid, I swear, I felt like I was reading something from a college student, like a university student in America. It was really, really good. I want to be able to read that to you, but I'd have to find it. It'd take me forever, so I should have been prepared instead of drawing the beautiful hamburger. But the point is, if I find this stuff, I will post it. I don't know if I want to post it because I don't want you just looking at that and trying to copy it, because they did a really good job, but whatever. So I want you to write your essay. Choose one of those topics. You're going to write it out. My suggestion, or actually it's not a suggestion, this is what you have to do. Your room work is that you have to write this in Google Docs. If you write it in Google Docs, I can edit it, make suggestions, and fix it all, and you can see the corrections. If you send it to me as a PDF, you deserve to get sprayed. I mean, come on, seriously. Who the heck? If you send it to me as a PDF, I can't do anything with that. If you print it out, well, how are you going to get it to me? I'm not going to wait till April. So no printing it out. You have to do this as a Google document. Send it to my email. Everybody knows. There you go. Okay? Glare. Can you see it? Can you see it? There you go. Okay. So it's jdanielbeluska@gmail.com. Make sure when you share it with me, you also give me permission to edit the document, or at least to suggest. I don't have to edit it, but I definitely need permission to suggest. If you just share it with me and it's a read-only document, I'm going to send back an email that's very angry and it says, "Give me access!" Because I can't do anything with read-only. I have to be able to make suggestions or edit the document. So this is how I want you to do it. Send it to me at that email address that's now covered up because of the glare. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. But I look forward to seeing what you guys produce. I'm going to give you the topics. You better follow the structure. It has to follow the structure. Here's how this works. The first assignment is going to be your rough draft. So probably next week, end of next week, because it's already Thursday. End of next week, I want the rough draft. I'm going to give you a week to work on it. I'll probably make another video talking about this some more after I see some of the rough drafts. But I want to see what you guys do first, and then I'm going to come back online and be like, "What the heck is wrong with you guys? Are you really that dumb?" I'm going to yell at you for being dumb. So then After next week, we're going to probably give you another week to do the formal essay that's worth a big grade. So this small one is going to be a small grade. It's just like room work. And then the other one is a big grade because it's a formal essay. But you guys need to do this because it's part of the language exams and college essays and everything else. And this is why I'm teaching you how to do this stuff now. Great. Y'all guys have fun. If you need anything, you know where to find me. On YouTube? I don't know. Anyways, goodbye.